Ladies and gentlemen, I want to specially appreciate you for joining me on this online seminar. It is my joy that you are here, and I want to assure you that the 30 minutes or thereabout we are going to spend is not going to be a waste of your time. Now, we are going to be talking about understanding how the mind works. Now, the reason why I choose this topic is because when we don't know what is the reason why we are getting what we are getting, we seems to continue to walk in ignorance, and we put up effort, we try several things, and then when they don't work the way we expected them to work, we begin to look for somebody else to blame. Very common with us in this part of the world is the devil. We always look for ways to blame the devil for this. We say the devil is responsible, and when we can't really pinpoint the particular devil we are blaming at, we want to give a human face to it, and so we begin to look at family members, we look at grandmothers, we look at grandfathers. We say they are witches, they are the one. There are people who don't wish my family well, and so all they just want is to see how I fell. They are monitoring me, and sometimes you even convince yourself that wherever you go, they go with you. My dear, I don't know why we keep thinking this way, but this is a reality. I'm telling you, there are truth. There are things we keep hearing every day. Now, but I want to see how I can help somehow by helping us see the reason why we are getting what we are getting. And I also want to believe that we'll be convinced at the end of the day that as much as I agree that there are witches and wizards, as much as I agree that the devil does not want our success, our progress, but we have certain power within us. We have some resources God has given to us. These resources is sufficient to help us achieve the success we want, to help us achieve the greatness we want. That is why I want to ask you, please pay attention to what I'm going to say. There are some words I may use that may not really be very comfortable with you, but the truth about it is, look at the message the word is passing across. That message is what you need for the change you desire. Now, let's go to my presentation proper. So we are going to be talking about understanding how our mind works, and it is subtitled Why You Get What You Get Instead of What You Want. Now, why do you get what you get? Now, the first question we ask is, why do we need to understand how our mind works? The reason why we need to understand how our mind works first is because as a man think, so he is. As you are thinking, that is how you are. Now, this is not my statement. This is a biblical statement. And if it is in the Bible, then it means that this is truth. As a man thinketh, so he is. Whatever that is going on in your mind, that is what you are going to see as a result. Now, someone said, if you can think it, you can achieve it. When they said that, sometimes you can reason it to say, okay, because you have conceived it, you'll be able to achieve it. Yes, that is possible. But another way you look at that statement is, whatever you are thinking is what you are going to get. The result you are seeing in your life today as a result of the thinking or the thought pattern of your yesteryears. And until you begin to understand how you think, you will not be able to really tell why you are getting what you are getting. The second reason why we need to understand how our mind works is that when we do that, it puts us in control of our life. We will be able to channel our life, direct it. The third reason is it helps us to understand others. When we understand others, we'll be able to relate properly with them. We'll be able to harness their resources to our own advantage. I am not talking about using people here, but I'm talking about collaborating with others. Now, when we understand how our mind works, you will become more patient with yourself. You need to. Sometimes we make mistakes. And sometimes we can count the mistakes are many. And when we see that we are making so many mistakes, we begin to feel as if this is not good. We begin to condemn ourselves. We criticize ourselves. Now, but when you understand how your mind works, you'll be able to be patient with yourself. When you understand how your mind works, you will know what to allow and what to reject in your life. These are the reasons why we need to understand how our mind works. Now, when we talk about the mind, there is this argument about where is the mind located. As a matter of fact, what is the mind and where is it located? Now, some say that the mind is in the brain. Some argue that the mind is outside the body. It is a spiritual environment, it's a spiritual entity. Every one of these people have their facts, they have their truths, and some of them are actually very correct. But whatever it is, there are several schools of thought in this respect, and so many other ones we might not be able to address. But let's look at what a French psychologist, René Descartes, says about the mind. In describing the mind, he uses the terminology, computer terminology. And so he said that the mind is like the software, while the brain is like the hardware. What is he referring to? What he's saying is collaborated by neurosciences, and neurosciences defines the mind as the brain in action. What they're saying is, as your brain is functioning, that's the mind itself. Now, in essence, what these two definition is saying is that your mind is in your brain. That is when when your brain is functioning. That is when your brain is thinking, when your brain is processing images, when your brain is creating images, when your brain is working. That means your mind is working. Your mind is action. Your mind is working rather. So what this means is that your mind is in your brain. However, there are certain aspects of the mind. That's why I said the two arguments as to the mind is outside the body and the mind is in the brain, they are both correct, because the mind is vast. There are certain parts of the mind that is outside our brain. The basic part of the mind, which is what we use regularly, is in our brain. And it is the connection between the mind that is in the brain and the mind that is outside the brain that forms the true entity called the soul. So let's go ahead and see some facts about the mind. First of all, know this, that you are not your mind. So you may ask, who are you? Who am I? Your real essence is a formless entity called the spirit. For us that are religious, this is what the Bible said. The Bible said that God is a spirit, and in another place it said that God created man in his own image. What this means is that we are spiritual beings. So our true essence is spirit. We are spirit man. Fact number 3, our brain physically cannot process two tasks at the same time. When we talk about the brain in this case and referring it to the mind, we are talking about the part of the mind that is in the brain. It cannot physically process two tasks simultaneously. Fact number 4, the brain has the capacity to change. It is called brain plasticity. Your brain can physically enlarge, it can physically shrink. It is also true that as it enlarges, or whether it's enlarged or shrinking, the ability of the brain to function can also either reduce or increase. So this is what is possible with your brain. Fact number 5, the average brain generates about 50,000 thoughts per day. 50,000, it's even said that it is between 50 and 70,000 thoughts per day, meaning that between the hours of 12 midnight to another 12 midnight, about 50,000 thoughts is being processed by your brain. 50,000 thoughts. Now, this is where we are driving at. Fact number 6, 70% of these thoughts that goes on in our brain, they are negative. 70% of them. Things like self-criticism, pessimism, fear, anger, all of these things, they are processed by the brain, and 70% of these things are negative. They are not to our own advantage. And coupled with our environment, where we have made the devil become the superpower, you see, it's actually more than this 70%. So we have to really understand how our mind works. And fact number 7, memories start forming in the womb from 4 months of pregnancy. Let me share a story here with you. I remember when my first daughter was in the womb, and sometimes the baby will start kicking and moving in the womb. Now, to an extent, the mother will start feeling serious and severe pains. So she will call me and say, come and talk to your baby. Your baby is giving me trouble. All I will do is just to touch my wife's tummy and speak to the baby. I just say, baby, I love you so much, and you know we are expecting you to comfort. I know that what you're doing is to help, is to let us know that you are also willing to comfort, to see us and to meet us. But what I want you to do now is just go to sleep, stop disturbing your mom, and then after a few seconds, maybe sometimes some few minutes, the baby will calm down. And sometimes I wonder, I say, why this? This is because the moment the baby is formed in the womb, the subconscious mind of that baby, which we are really going to focus on, is active and alive. And the memory starts forming at the age of 4 months in pregnancy. So let's look at the 4 states of the mind. And this is where we have to say, this is why I said rather that there are certain part of the mind that is within the brain, and then there are certain part of the mind that is outside the brain. The first is the conscious mind. This conscious mind is particularly in the brain. The second is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is also part of the brain. Now the third is the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is also in the physical brain, but it is not only in the brain that the unconscious mind operates. Now the fourth is the higher consciousness. The higher consciousness is outside the brain. It is not within the brain. But we are going to find out about this. Now, number 1 is the conscious mind. The conscious mind is also called the beta state of the mind. Conscious mind uses just about 10% of the resources of the entire brain. And this is where our willpower is, our short-term memory, our logical thinking, and our critical thinking. They are within the conscious mind. This is the state of awareness. What it means is that it is with the conscious mind that we are aware of things. If you look at the video I presented when I was doing the introduction, you can see the background. It is a natural background. It is with the conscious mind that you know that what is behind me are grasses and trees. It is with the conscious mind that you know that what is written on the screen you are looking at now is this is the state of awareness. It is with the conscious mind that you know that. So the conscious mind is the moment of knowing about our existence. That is the summary of it. Knowing about our existence, knowing where we are, knowing where we slept, knowing where we went to, knowing where we are also going to. It is with the conscious mind. Now the conscious mind, like as we said in fact number 2 or 3, said can focus only on one thing at a time. That means the conscious mind cannot simultaneously do 2 things at the same time. It is only one it focuses in. That is why sometimes you can hold a pen in your hand and then you are still looking for that same pen. That is why in examination hall you can be spelling IS and be asking someone to help you to spell IS. It is with the conscious mind that these things occur. Now the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is also referred to as the alpha state of the mind. The subconscious mind uses about 90% of the entire brain resources. That is why we are going to really emphasize about the subconscious mind and how we can work with it for our own good. Now, it contains our beliefs, our emotions, our habits, our values, our protective reaction. Let me explain this one. Protective reaction. Sometimes, let's take for an example, you are walking on a bushy path and suddenly you saw a snake. Yes, you saw it with your eyes and your brain processes it. But because of what you know about a snake, which is stored not in your conscious mind, but in your subconscious mind, you begin to react to that scene. And the quickest thing most people do, of course, which I think everybody does except those who rear snake, is to run away. So it is with the subconscious mind that this happens. So it is called the fight or flight reaction. So it is with the subconscious mind that this reaction takes place. The subconscious mind is your place of long-term memory. That is where it is being stored. Your imagination and your intuition also work in this part of your brain. Now, but this is surprising. And I believe that this is why we are getting what we are getting instead of what we want. 95% of the decisions we make in life takes place in the subconscious mind. Now, why I said this is where we are responsible for what we want in life is because 70% of our thoughts are negative. 95% of the decisions we make in life takes place in the subconscious mind. And because we do not know much about the subconscious mind, if at all we know anything, it all boils down to the fact that we have allowed negative information to be predominant in our subconscious mind where we make decisions. And 95% of the decision takes place in this subconscious mind. So what this means is that the decisions we take in life, which translates into our result and circumstances, are made in our subconscious mind. And let me ask you, for you that is listening and watching me now, what do you know about your subconscious mind? How much do you know about it? I want to challenge you. What I am teaching you today will not be sufficient for you to know all about your subconscious mind. So I challenge you to, after this webinar, go and research about the subconscious mind. I am telling you, you need a good knowledge of your subconscious mind and how it works. You will stop blaming the devil for what he's not responsible for. You will stop blaming people. As a matter of fact, I made a statement. I said anyone who blames others for their situation is only transferring a responsibility to someone who does not know that that is actually his responsibility. When you blame people for your circumstances, you are saying that someone else is responsible for your life. Find out about the subconscious mind. Now, this is how the subconscious mind works. We'll look a little bit into it. When you are emotional, for example, let's say you fell in love with someone and this person did something that hurt you. The memory of that hurt will take priority over the memory of even falling in love or where you found the person. Let's say, for an instance, let's say you met the person in a restaurant. Yes, you will remember that you met this person in a restaurant, but at the point when the person that you have become emotionally attached to did something that brings disappointment to you, the memory of the disappointment will now take priority over the memory of where you met the person. Why? Because when you are emotional about a thing, your subconscious mind gets the message more rapidly, or prioritize that message that you are getting at the point of emotions than it does when you are not emotional. That is why I said memory is prioritized by emotions. Now the next thing is the subconscious mind, as against the conscious mind, can simultaneously focus and process many things at the same time. Can process. That is why you can be doing something and hear someone saying things, and then you can also, after sometimes when the person is saying that thing, you may not recall it, but after a short while you can say, what did you say? It is because your subconscious mind has captured what he said, but you didn't really hear it. But the subconscious mind has captured it. So it can focus on many things at the same time. Let's also take another example. You can be making a call. Now, the process of making a call, you pick the phone with your conscious mind, but dialing the number, you dial the number also with your conscious mind. But assuming you are driving at the time when you are making this call, when you learn how to drive, you are learning with your conscious mind. But by the time you now know how to drive very well, the knowledge or memory of how to drive has now been transferred from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. That is why you do not need to look at the pedals when you want to go on your brake. You do not need to look at, sometimes you drive with your conscious mind. So that is what I'm trying, with your subconscious mind rather, that is what I'm trying to say. Now, but at the time you are making the call, you can also be driving. Now you are making the call with your conscious mind. but the driving you are doing with your subconscious mind. So as you are driving, you are also watching where you are going. You are seeing the place with your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind is the one translating the sights and describing where you are and what is the next thing to do. I hope this is clear. I'm not confusing you. But what I'm trying to say is that with your subconscious mind, you can process many tasks, many information, many things at the same time. But this is it. Your subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. So if you understand this, then when we are going to talk about positive affirmation at the tail end of this online webinar, you will be able to understand why we are saying this. Subconscious mind easily receives messages when we are emotional. Emotions like anger, confusion, pain, and anxiety, and the rest. So you have to be careful what you do at the moment when you are emotional. Be very careful. That's why you need to learn how to handle your emotions. Now, we relate with both the unconscious mind, which we have said is one of the states of the mind, and the higher consciousness, another state of the mind. We relate with these two sets with our subconscious mind. Now, we commonly reach our subconscious mind when we are completely relaxed. So let's look at the different states of the mind. The third state of the mind, rather, the unconscious mind, which is also called the delta state of the mind. This is a state of complete lack of awareness. It means we don't know what is happening. It is usually achieved when we are in a deep dreamless sleep. But however, it still works when we are awake. How does it work? Because it is with the unconscious mind that we control the impulses and biological activities in our entire being. Things like seeing, it is with the unconscious mind. You don't think about seeing before you see. So it is outside of your conscious mind, even though you can call it to memory through your subconscious mind. Now, things like breathing, you don't think about breathing before you breathe. You just breathe. There are several other things we do with the unconscious mind. And then the last state of the mind is higher consciousness, also called the theta state of the mind. Now, this is a momentary loss of touch with reality, where our conscious mind, in most cases, must be out for us to go into our theta state, the higher consciousness. Now, so it is with the conscious mind, remember I said, it is with the conscious mind that we know about our environment. We are aware of things. But when you go into your theta state of the mind, which is the higher consciousness, your conscious mind must be brought to minimal, if at all. So, communication with God and inner self is most effective when we go into the theta state of consciousness, the higher consciousness. Now, this is when innovative ideas, creative solutions, and revelations are easily received. So if you are wondering why you are not creative, if you are wondering why you are not innovative, or maybe you are expecting revelations from God and you don't get it, it is because you have not actually learned how to go into your higher consciousness. And the higher consciousness is outside the human body. It is the spiritual realm. It is within the realm of the spirit. So you need to get to this point. And how do you get to this point? We get to this point when we engage in what is called silent prayer, or perhaps praying in the Holy Ghost, as the Pentecostal will call it. Now, we also go into this state when we go into deep meditation. Deep meditation, it could be meditating on the Word of God, or it could be a yoga meditation. So if you want to go into your higher consciousness, you have to do any one of these things. And when we are doing it, there are processes you have to go through anyway. If it is prayer, I know a lot of us pray, but unfortunately we pray with our conscious mind, and that is why we don't really get answers to this prayer, because we have not gotten to a point where we can easily communicate with God. Also, okay, so I hope I'm making some sense here, and you are learning some things. Now, that being said, let's continue. Influences on the mind and how they run our life. I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. So now, our mindset is our predominant thought pattern about a thing, a subject. For example, every one of us have our mindset about money. Every one of us have our mindset about life. Every one of us have our different and varied mindset about sex. We have our mindset about almost everything. So, and these mindsets are just our predominant thought pattern. For example, the moment you see, let's say, a river, for those of you who are not from the river Rhine, what is your mindset about the river? Those who are not from the river Rhine think that you can easily die in the river. That's truth, and that is because you don't know how to swim. But those of us who are from the river Rhine, we are not scared of the sea, no matter how big the sea is. So we have different mindset about the sea or the river. So that is just how mindset is. So it's our predominant thought pattern. So when someone who is not from the river Rhine sees a sea, the first thing that comes to mind is risk, and particularly the risk of his or her life. So fear is now the result of that mindset. But those who are from the river Rhine, since they know and they have been in the sea for long, they are not afraid of the sea, and so fear is not part of it. So your predominant mindset can be the determining factor of what and of how you react to certain things. Now, the collection of our mindset forms what we call the blueprint. And what is the blueprint? The blueprint, or our blueprint, is the internal manual with which our entire life operates. Now, how is our mindset formed? Let me share a story about a little elephant. A little elephant was tied to a big tree, and because the tree was huge, he couldn't pull the tree and run away. So after several attempts, he got tired, and he was feeling some pains on the leg where the rope was tied. So he stood still, and each time he stands still, the pains will reduce. So the elephant has now been conditioned to stand still whenever there is a rope on the leg of the elephant. So after some days, the elephant was loosed and then tied to a stake on the ground. Just a lifting of the leg can just pull the stake. But because the elephant has now been conditioned, the elephant stood still the moment there was a rope on the leg and he couldn't move. That is exactly how we are tied to our family. You see, until you begin to learn that your conditioning by your family, especially if it is not to your own advantage, is what you need to untie yourself from, you will see that you will begin to live the pattern which you have seen in your family. That's why you can see yourself doing the same thing like your dad or your mom, depending on who you were very close to. It's not because that was genetic. There are certain things that are genetical about you from your parents, but when it comes to certain habits, it is just because over the years you have learned that from them. So as children, we depend completely on our parents, our guardians, our older siblings, and the rest of the people in the household. And because we depend on them, we believe just about everything they say. Imagine when your father is telling you go and sleep. As a child, you may cry and do everything, but if he insists, you still have to go and sleep. And some other things, when you ask them questions, children likes to ask questions. So when children ask questions, whatever their parents give them as the answer is what they believe. And at the stage of being children, they take this information hook, line, and sinker, even when they don't have the consciousness to process this information. Their subconscious mind accepts and takes this information without them knowing. So these things jointly define their mindset about a particular thing for which they want to know anything about. So all of these things we experience from our family, they are forming our mindset. The next place where our mindset is being formed is the school. You see, at about 2 or even less these days, children are sent off to school. Now, what do they send them to go and do? Yes, it is true, we send them to go and learn, but unknowingly to most of us, we are sending them to be programmed by people 48 hours per week by a complete stranger called teacher. When the teacher is teaching, yes, he will be reading from the book, but the manner with which he or she reads from the book is a factor of his or her mindset. The approach with which he or she teaches is a factor of his or her mindset. And all of these things, as much as the children are hearing what he or she is saying, they are also absorbing. The subconscious mind is absorbing the attitude, is absorbing the behavior, is absorbing the mannerism of that teacher. So the children are also not only being taught by the teacher, as in educationally, but they are also programming the children for us. So the time with which our children spend with us reduces from about 72 hours to about 28 hours per week. The next is our society. We have other adults, our peers at school, and even in the neighborhood. They are also influencing the mindset of these children. And worst of it is TV programs, computer games, and cartoons. These are serious issues. Now, let me spend a little time on this. The cartoons, computer games, and TV programs we are watching, they are done professionally by people who knows how the mind works far better than I do. Psychologists and scientists who have done tremendous research about the mind. Now, these people understands how the mind works, so they do these programs and cartoons programs in such a way that you begin to love the program with your subconscious mind. Remember, we established earlier that 95% of the 95% rather of the decisions we make are with the subconscious mind. So they work on getting the subconscious mind. That is why some of these games and cartoons are addictive. Children can't do away with them. Cartoons and all of those things. Be careful. Sit down with your children, watch the cartoon with them, and try to get the message out of it, not just the entertainment. When you get the message, if the message is good for your children, you can let them watch that particular cartoon. If it is not, please monitor them. Let's suffice that. Our mindset is being sorted out with all of these things. And then the last one is our personal experiences. Before we get to the point where we now have a choice whether we will accept what people are telling us or we will reject what they are telling us, our blueprint is almost formed. And so what then happens is our personal experiences begin to reinforce our existing programs, which is what has been in our mind, which is what our parents, our family members, our teachers, and our environment has programmed into us. So you see, if you live in a negative program, in a negative environment rather, that is how and much information in your mindset will be negative. So depending on our dominant mindset, we will either fight whatever our experiences is, we'll either fight it or we run away from it, which is called fight or flight response, which I have explained earlier. Or we accept it as being normal. We accept it as being normal when we have seen, maybe we could not even remember, but when we have seen this thing as occurring in our family. For example, if you happen to find yourself in a place where people drinks and you think drinking is normal, I'm talking about drinking of alcohol, you say it is normal. Yes, it's probably because you have lived in a place before where alcohol is being taken. For some of us, we can't take alcohol, not because we don't want, but because where we grew up from, alcohol is not easily taken. So it is abnormal for us to take alcohol. But there are people who don't care. There are people who smoking for them it is normal, nothing is wrong with it. So we can either run away from it, fight it, or accept it as being normal. Whatever we settle will further enlarge or write a new blueprint. Now, the next stage is, how does our mind manifest? How does our blueprint manifest? It does first through thinking. And because the information or the thought that we are processing, 70% of it are negative, you find out that because of our mindset, more of the thoughts that comes out from us are negative. Now, this is what happens. The brain projects the most relevant piece of information each time a stimuli occur. Now, let's take for an instance. You're walking by the roadside and then you suddenly saw a goat, and 20 years ago you stole a goat somewhere, what do you think will happen when you see a goat? You will remember that you stole a goat somewhere. That's exactly what happened. The moment you see the goat, you are not going to be thinking about the color of the goat. Neither will you be thinking about whether the goat is a male or a female. The first information that will come to your mind is that, remember, you stole a goat somewhere. That's exactly how the brain works. So when you are thinking, it is what has been in your mind that the brain will project first about the thing. Then you can begin to criticize and analyze it. Like as we have established, what you are thinking is being prioritized by emotion. So if you were so emotional when the event happened, it becomes more predominant in our mindset. The next stage is our emotions. Our thought forms our emotions. For example, if you are thinking about a disappointment and you have not been able to deal with that issue, it will call up the anger. You begin to feel angry. You begin to feel hatred for the person who disappointed you. That's it. And then when you are emotional, you can take any action. Because when you are emotional, your subconscious mind takes over, and your conscious mind, which is your critical mind, and the advantage of it is usually to analyze things. Because your subconscious mind has taken over, your conscious mind goes at the background. So our new emotion will either reinforce the old emotions or the old blueprint that we have. Now this propels us to act, or we save our conclusion for a future date. And lastly, how our blueprint manifests is through actions. When we act depending on our mindset, we might be acting rightly or wrongly. And whether we act rightly or wrongly, a result is produced. Now, do you now see how you have contributed to your circumstances? Remember I said that, yes, we can't completely exonerate the devil. But what I am trying to say is that within you, there is enough power for you to choose your result in life. And what do you need to do is to learn how to control your subconscious mind. And to do that, you need to learn how to rewrite your blueprint, which is your manual. This is the last stage of this online webinar. So the first thing we need to do is to change our mindset. How do we change our mindset? This is the process. To change our mindset, we need to seek to control our subconscious mind, because it is our subconscious mind that stores our mindset. Why do we need to control? We need to control it because, like as I've said, when you understand how your mind works, you'll be able to know what to reject and what to accept. When you know how to control your subconscious mind, you'll be able to reject negative things and accept the positive things, including people. There are people in your life that you must kick out. They are not positive influence on you. Things that you want to give up on are the things that are helping you to continue in that particular thing. Such people need to be out of your life. Get them out. Now remember that it is difficult for you to change if you are comfortable with whatever situation you find yourself. So comfort is the enemy of change. Get uncomfortable. Hate your situation. Be angry with your circumstances. Then you'll be able to have control over your subconscious mind. And these 6 steps we need to take to change our mindset. First, you need to identify your predominant mindset. You also need to know the sources. The next, you need to watch your thoughts. You also need to reject limiting thoughts. So when you are watching your thoughts, you will catch those that are limiting, those that are negative, and then reject them. And then encourage the ones that are positive. Think about those things. Continue to think on thoughts that are positive, thoughts that are going to help you, and use positive affirmation. And then lastly, you have to act like who you want to be. So identify your predominant mindset and know the source. We have established that most of our mindset comes from our family, our school, our environment, and our personal experiences. But you now need to find out, because I understand that most of us want to make more money. So basically find out your mindset about money and where it came from. Are you living the pattern of money that your parents lived? Hand to mouth. They are working, collecting salary before the month's end. Their salary has already been expended. Is that the set of life you are living? Then it means that the source of your mindset about money is from your parents. Find out the source. Or personal experience. It could be. When you know the source and how it is manifesting, then you can begin to work on it. Someone said that a problem that is known is half solved. Now, if you do not know about it, you will not be able to change it. So you cannot change what you do not know exists. So find out where your mindset about a particular thing you want to change came from. Who among those that influence you has similar situation? Now, consciously watch your thoughts. Monitor what you are thinking. Each time you are thinking, just begin to be in your mind, stay in your mind, especially when negative things happen. Monitor it. Take charge of your life. Handle your emotions. Reject limiting beliefs. Words, phrases like I can't, I don't have, I am, followed by negative words. It is not for people like me. All of these phrases, just keep watching them. When they come to your mind, as you catch them, call to a mindset. Use the words like change, delete, or cancel. Just call these words to your mind. For me, the one that works for me is no. So the moment such thought comes to my mind, I just say no. And the moment I said no, I have caught that thought. So all I need to do at that time is I call the word change, or cancel, or reject, or delete, and then I begin to think of another thing. Encourage your empowering beliefs. Do not act as if everything about you isn't good. Truth is, what is not good cannot be found if there be no good at all. Within each of us are worthy virtues. There are things about us that are good. Whatever feeds your ego, feeds it. The things about us that are good. When you see yourself thinking good thoughts, smile. Be happy about it. Tell yourself that yes, this is how you want to continue to think, and congratulate yourself for it. And gradually you begin to do that. Affirm what you want. Say it. Create a set of positive affirmation. Now let me also promise you this. I'm going to send everyone who attends this webinar a set of positive affirmation, and that positive affirmation is the beginning point for you. So you can use it to start, but create yours, add yours, and continue. Begin to use it. Repeat it, read it, and repeat them to yourself for at least 21 days, morning and evening. I recommend 90 days, but at least 21 days, morning and evening, before you go to bed and when you are awake. Initially, this won't make much sense to you. The reason why it won't make much sense to you is because your conscious mind will always be involved, and it will begin to tell you that don't do this. This is not necessary. You are telling yourself lies. Are you, with all of the demons around, you want to tell yourself that you can achieve this? With all of the witches that are pursuing you, just keep doing it. Ignore your conscious mind. The reason is because this is the same techniques that advertisers use. The message is not for your conscious mind, but it is for your subconscious mind. And whether your conscious mind agrees to it or not, as much as your eye sees it, as much as your ear hears it, your subconscious mind is also getting it. And remember, we said that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between real and imagine. So start telling yourself what you want. Start confessing what you want. Positive confession. And the last part of it, the last of it is start acting like it. Start doing things the way you want it to be. As you are confessing it, be acting it. Now when you are acting, you are deceiving your subconscious mind, because it doesn't know whether the acting is truth or not. And because our subconscious mind is the dominant force that produces our result and our action, based on the fact that 95% of our decisions are made in the subconscious mind. So it now means that when you deceive your subconscious mind, it will now begin to make decisions in a way that it has been deceived. So acting like tells the subconscious mind to produce the physical equivalence. So when you keep acting like who you want to be, for example, you want to be a billionaire, start acting like a billionaire. I'm not saying you should start spending your money like a billionaire. I'm just saying start acting like a billionaire. Don't confess things that billionaires will not confess. Begin to dress like a billionaire, even with what you have. Begin to dress like that. Package yourself. That is what billionaires do. You don't have to go and buy a 1 million naira suit. You don't have to go and buy a 1 million naira Gucci shoe. Just package yourself with whatever you have. Dress like the billionaires. That is what acting like means. As you are beginning to do that, your subconscious mind is getting a message. Gradually, it may take time, but it is getting the message, and it will begin to change. The old information in your mind will begin to be replaced with the new information. And then, to avoid quitting very early, pick a role model. This one is just to help you, so that each time you hear or see the role model, you remember how you want to be. I'm not saying you should strive to become like the person, but let the person be an inspiration to you. And then final suggestion, just 3 suggestions. First, do not expect an overnight turnaround. The reason is because our subconscious mind or our mindset has been written over many years. It won't be changed in just some few days. 2, time and effort is required. Give it time. Be patient with yourself and put all the effort that is required. Develop yourself. Read. Attend seminars. Do a lot of all of these things to acquire the knowledge you need. And lastly, expect help from people, but never depend on them. Expect help from people, but never depend on them. Wow, I want to believe that this has been a swelling time. You really enjoyed what I have shared with you. But above it all, practicing is the most important thing. Practice what you have learned. Go ahead and succeed, even as you want to succeed. And I want to also ask, if now you hear this and believed that this is responsible, please, can you stop giving the devil so much attention? He doesn't deserve it. You have within you the power to become who you want to be. God bless you. Now go to my website, register your email address so that you can get information from me. I write a lot of times, and then I also share some information through emails. So just visit my website, intelsat.com, and then subscribe to my newsletter, and from there we can begin our further communication. Thank you, and God bless you.